kids gone country. So today, something I'm going to do for the first time is winter seed sowing. And this is something that I was told about by my lovely neighbor, who is a fantastic gardener and who I will absolutely be asking for tips and tricks because her garden is amazing. And maybe sometime soon I can go over and do a tour of her garden. It's phenomenal. So it's more of your cold hardy vegetables or flowers that you can start in winter. You can start in January, February. So right now it's February, it's cold out. We're actually, having a polar vortex right now. And so what I'm gonna do is choose our cold hardy seeds, and hopefully this will help them start a little bit easier for us. And it's supposed to be less time consuming as well. So what you will need to do the winter seed sowing is a couple of seeds that we have here. Here are the varieties that we have chosen to do our winter seed sowing, and you'll also need some jugs. So these are a couple options that you have. So the water jugs, what you want to do, first thing you want to do when you get your container is wash it out. At the bottom, I've already done this part just to prepare for the video and to make it a little bit easier for myself when doing this, is you want to puncture holes in the bottom of your container because drainage is really important for your seedlings. Then you're going to take your X-Acto knife and you're going to start where the handle is, cut a slit, and then get a scissor in there and cut all the way around, but you want to leave like a hinge. Just makes it easier for carrying it, and then you can always reuse these again. That's another good thing about this, is you can collect them every year, or you can just wash out the ones you used and keep reusing them. And I've been lucky enough to have a bunch of jugs given to me by my neighbor. She had extra, so she said, here, go try it out. So we're ready. Okay, so once you have your containers cut with a hinge on them, holes in the bottom for drainage, you can take off the caps. You won't need these anymore because we're going to be leaving these outside. You want them to be outside, kind of away from a lot of wind. So kind of away from a lot of wind. You also want them to be in a nice sunny area and anywhere that they can get the snow left on top of them. So that's why we don't need these lids, because any snow or rain that is collected is going to be our watering. So you won't have to water them. I would suggest still checking on them maybe once a week, just to make sure that they are still there is still moisture in there. You might have to water them, but not as frequently as if you were inside. Another good benefit to this is that you don't have to harden your seeds off or harden your seedlings off once it's time to plant in your garden, because they will already be climatized to the colder environment outside. So your seed will still kind of be dormant now, but then it will slowly kind of start to grow when it has enough sunshine, and this will act as a miniature greenhouse for them. Okay. You can also use, if you don't have those kind of jugs, another thing that you can keep are a little bit smaller option, but your, like any kind of takeout containers that has like a clear lid on top. Other good ones are the ones for like rotisserie chickens or the big plastic salad containers. So I have my soil here, but it was left out in the garage, so now it is a big frozen block of soil. So now we have to wait for it to thaw like a little bit. What I have here is if you have a bucket or a large bowl, that works. I just happen to have a children's sensory bin nearby, so I'm going to use that instead. Because I'm going to want to add water to it anyway. I know the soil is usually like it's pretty moist, and I'm just using some garden soil, but you want to add a little bit of extra water to it anyway. You want to dampen your soil enough that when you pick it up, it's damp, but you don't have any water dripping from your hands. So I'm going to do that now anyway. Here in our sensory bin. You can mix it around with a little shovel or a tool if you want, but I just find it easier to use my hands. So we're just going to go that route instead. So once you have added water to your soil to just dampen it a bit, now it's time to fill in your little miniature greenhouse. So I'm going to use this container to start, and I'm going to fill up the the bottom portion of it right here. Feels good, it's not too wet. Okay, so this one is full. Okay, we have the drainage holes in there, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna just follow the directions on your seed package. That being said, our seeds did not come with any. So, good thing we have the internet and YouTube. You can Google and YouTube anything and figure out what you need. And there's this old-fashioned thing called a book, and that's what I'm using. So I just looked up in my kitchen gardener book, which I absolutely love. This is great for beginners. Kitchen Gardening for Beginners. I quite like this book. I have found this very helpful. And so I'm just going to follow the directions that the book says to do for spinach seeds. That's the first thing I want to start. Spinach. So last year was our first time trying to do a vegetable garden, and spinach is one of the things that we eat frequently here. We tend to eat spinach rather than lettuce. And of course, it was one of those things that just did not work for me last year. So what I learned, and what I'm hoping that this is helping other people with, is that spinach is a cold hardy crop. Does better planted earlier than when it's too hot. So that's one of the reasons why this would be a great candidate to do the winter sowing for. So we're going to do our spinach. So to plant spinach, you need to create some furrows. So they have to be an inch apart. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm only going to make 2 furrows in here. So like 2 rows, and they're about an inch apart. And then when we want to plant the seeds, we want to plant the seeds about 1/2 inch deep. And then cover them up. Okay, so I'm making my furrows in here. Okay, I've got my furrows set up. I've got my seed package opened. So now I have my spinach seeds, jumping all over, and I'm going to put them in 1/2 inch deep, about 1 inch apart from one another. And these are individual seeds. And hopefully we get spinach this year. So I'm not going to plant all my seeds because I kind of want to compare this versus starting some indoors a little bit later on, or just starting outside once we're able to work the ground, or the earth, I should say. And this is something that even if you don't have space, is a great option to do. It doesn't look the best in the containers, but if it's something that you're able to do to provide food for your family at home, especially in these uncertain times, then why not give it a try? Okay, so I have my 2 furrows there with my seeds in them. Okay, so now our seeds they're covered, they're planted in that nice damp soil. I'm going to give them a little bit of an extra water on top just to make sure that we have that moisture inside of our container. To give them a good start. There we go. Okay, so now they're all set in there. So now we're going to close her up, and we need our duct tape. Duct tape, in case that wasn't clear enough. I tend to mumble sometimes. I don't mean to. I just have all these ideas, and I just can't get them out fast enough. So if I'm not articulate, it's just because I've got a lot going on in there. Okay, now, since you don't have to go all the way around, I think I would prefer to. It's a wee bit tricky. Okay, there we go. Give it a nice seal. Okay, cut that off. Okay, there you go. So this is our first one that's done. I am going to label it on the outside too, but what I have heard is that sometimes with the weathering outside that your marker does get worn off. So if you want to write exactly what you have on the top of the container as well as put some kind of label on the inside. So this particular one is Bloomsdale non-GMO spinach seeds. And this is from rainbowseeds.ca. If you guys have any preferred seeds that you like to purchase, please let me know in the comments, as I would love to try other ones as well. Yeah, this is just my first time ordering seeds like this in the mail. Thanks to lockdown, we've done a lot more things as far as ordering from in the mail versus going to a store. So it's very different. For me anyway, I was never a big online shopper, so that has changed. When it's time to put it outside, they're gonna be out on the south facing area, so it'll have all day sun. I'm gonna put them close to the house, so that way it is a little bit more protected from any winds that we get. And it does get pretty windy here. We have the big wind turbines out back for a reason, because it does get so windy. So that's my first one. I'm gonna do a couple more of them, and then we're gonna get them outside. All right, so now everything is planted. We have our soil in our containers, planted as per directions for whatever seed that you're planting. Then we have them labeled, maybe both inside and out. And then we have our duct tape wrapped around to secure them. I did have to get a little creative, and you'll see for my chamomile, I didn't have the best containers for them, so I used a strawberry container, which is great because it already has the holes for drainage and ventilation, both top and bottom, so they're great, and especially for one of those seeds that are a little bit finer. And then the other one is a container, actually it was a meat container that I washed out, poked holes in the bottom, and then I tightly duct taped a freezer bag on top. So hopefully that works, but we'll see. This is all a learning process. And yeah, so everything that we have just for this year, and I didn't go on a big scale only because this is an experiment for me. I don't know how it's going to work, but if I'm successful, then next year we're going to do a lot more. But I did save seeds, so I'll be able to do seeds. Once these are growing a little bit more, then I'll start planting some other ones, so that way we have a good rotation of crops and stuff available to us. So we have Swiss chard, we have spinach, we have lettuce, we have nasturtium, we have chamomile, and borage, I think it's called. Yeah, so that's what we have so far, and I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Thank you for watching my video today on winter sowing. I really hope that this has given you some incentive to try and do winter sowing yourself. Let me know how you end up doing. Is it successful? Is it not? What seeds did you find worked well? What seeds did not? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching City Kids Gone Country.